Hello everyone. Today I will be doing SLO number 22 where I write a polar equation of a given polar graph. So for the graph number 1, I drew this graph here. It's not to scale. I try to do my best to draw it to where it's at least visually acceptable. So for this one I used R equals A cosine B. I decided to use cosine because of all the petals here. They're all in the axis as well as up here. They all correspond to that axis, so this will be dealing with cosine. And the A in this situation equals the length of the petal, which will be 5. And then B the number of loops. If even, you gotta divide it by 2. We got 4, so in that case, 4 divided by 2 will just give me the 2. So the equation for this is R equals the length of each the length of the petals, which is 5. Then we have the cosine. And in parentheses, you got 2, which again is 4 divided by 2, give me the 2, into theta. So R equals 5 cosine 2 theta. The next one, we have this equation. This is called a cardioid, even though, just to say it, it's not required if you didn't know it, at least not in this SLO. So in this case, I use R equals A plus B, which is cosine B again. Well, the graph extends out in the x-axis, which will be dealing with cosine. A will be the y-intercept 1, which is up here. This will be the 1.5. B will be the y-intercept 2. In this case, it will be 1.5, and this one, negative 1.5. We're taking the absolute value of both, of the 1.5, of the both intercepts. So even if one of them is negative, you can be using the absolute value of these two. And it should equal 3, which is the length of how far out the the graph goes. This should be for any cardioid graph. It went out 3 units. So in this case, it will be R equals 1.5 plus the 1.5 cosine theta. Again, let's do the next one. We have polar graph number 3, which will be extending out to 3 units, which R equals A cosine B. In this case, it was similar to the first one where we have 4 petals, so it will be divided by 2, and the petal length in this one is 3. So A equals the length of each petal, which is 3 units. B equals the number of loops, which is 8. So if it's even, you'd be dividing it by 2. So 8 divided by 2 gives me a 4. So in this case, it would be R equals, and again, we're dealing with cosines, just the main ones are already on the axis. So for this one, it will be R equals 3. That's the length of each petal. Well, at least it's supposed to be. I tried my best to do it. And even now, it's kind of hard for me to draw it, but it's supposed to be 3 all the way around. Again, it's not drawn to scale. I did the best that I could. So this would be cosine 4 theta. Now the next one, we have a 5 now. So this would be similar to the other one where R equals A sine B this time, because we're dealing with the graph here. It's dealing with the x, with the y-axis. Y will be the sine in this case. These should all be drawn around to 5. I tried my best to do it, but even there you see I'm not the best at this thing. I don't have a mouse. I just have the touchpad in my laptop. So that's why it took me a while to draw it. It actually should be around 5 over here, but you know, try my best here. A will equal here the length of the petals, which is 5 units. Well, supposed to be at least. My drawing isn't the best. B will be the number of loops. In this case, since it's 5. If even you divide by 2, but since it's odd, B will stay the same, so the number of petals, they will all be the same. So in this case, since we have 5 petals, it'll be R equals 5, since each of the petal length go out to 5, or, supposed to at least, but let's just hypothetically say they go up to 5. It'll be the sign, since we're dealing with a y-axis. And then we have B here, which is the amount of petals. Since it's odd, it will stick to the amount there. If it was even, you'll have to divide by 2. Again, in this situation, some of them will vary, but that's just the general ones here. In the test, you should see it drawn to scale. Maybe not like this, but again, these are not to scale. I'm drawing these with my hands. I didn't use any computer-generated thing. I wanted to do it like this, just to give myself a challenge, just keep the video where I was going to draw it during the video, but then it took me way too long. What am I doing? It is not to scale. I don't know what the heck I was writing. But yeah, that's how it basically is. Sine, you'd be dealing with the y-axis. Cosine will be dealing with the x-axis. Not to scale. My drawing skills are not the best, but getting a little bit better. And yeah, look, this would be the x-axis, this would be the y-axis. Alright, that should be everything. Thank you for watching the video. Like, subscribe, and comment. I'll see you guys in the next one.